reported that Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba may not be retiring as soon as though the report that he's supposed to be due for retirement by age or by service. That's the information that first came. But in that Federal Executive Council meeting where that report came from, which held at the State House, the minister addressed the State House correspondent to tell Nigerians on the council's approval of a memo which gives the legal status to police training institutions across Nigeria as part of ongoing police reforms to produce quality manpower that will institutionalize service orientation and enhance internal security. The minister, during the media engagement, also responded to inquiries on the retirement date of the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba. In making clarification, the minister now in a statement yesterday said that the IG was appointed by President Buhari on the 6th of April 2021, adding that the appointment was confirmed by the Nigerian Police Council headed by the president in June 2021 for a single tenure of 4 years as provided for in Section 7, Subsection 3 and Section 7, Subsection 6 of the Police Act 2020, which amongst other states that the person appointed to the office of the IG shall hold office of 4 years. In buttressing his notion, the minister warned that the provisions of the 2022 Amended Police Act should not be misconstrued for tenure extension as erroneously reported in subsections of the media. Let's get some perspective on these, what the law says, the perspectives to these, the implications of these. I'm being joined now by Dr. Charles Omole, who is a member of the Presidential Working Group on Police Reform and also the Director General of the Institute for Police and Security Policy Research and a lawyer. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
The Inspector General of Police was born on the 1st of March, 1963. He joined the force on the 15th of March, 1988. What does the law says about the retirement of an IG or a police officer?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I'm here in my personal capacity, not to represent the working group. Exactly. Now, well, I think you have to go back and look at the antecedent, the history. The presidents in the past have been used to just appointing and firing IGs at will. In fact, there was a point in 2016 or 2015, if you go back 10 years, you find out we've had 10 IGs in those 10 years. So there was no security of tenure and all that. So that was what was behind the crafting of the Police Act 2020 that the president signed. Now, in Section 7 of that act, there are two key conditions that was given to be appointed Inspector General of Police. One, you have to be of the rank of AIG and above. And number two, you are appointed for a period of 4 years. But those two sections were subjected to Section 18 of the Act, which says all police officers, including the IG, can only serve till they're age 60 or they've done 35 years in service. Now, how Section 7 is interpreted depends on, and probably we might need judicial review of this, depends on which school of thought you are coming from. For example, there are those who construe Section 7, the 4 years as being the minimum term. There are those that construe it as being the maximum term.
But you cannot serve more than 4 years.
Either we can serve more
than 4 years.
That
one is explicit, isn't it?
That's explicit.
Straight up.
Now, but the issue is this. Depending on how you view it, if you view it as being a minimum term, it means that by the time of your appointment as IG, you must have minimum of 4 years left in service till you are 60 or you are 35 in service, 35 years in service. So which means if you see it as a minimum term, so it means you cannot be appointed if you don't have that 4 year left in service. That's number one. If you see it as a maximum term, as in 4 years, because the law simply said 4 years, it means, therefore, that you can do less than 4 years. 4 years is the maximum you can do. So somebody who has 2 years left in service can be appointed IG if you view it as a minimum term. It's not 4 years, but it's within that 4 year period. But what cannot happen is anyone remaining in the force past the age of 60 or past 35 years in service.
So, has there any infraction been made in respect of the stay of Usman Alkali Baba in office?
Well, not yet. I mean, in the sense that it still has till 1st of March. So
before he's 60.
Before he's 60, yes.
By the 2nd of March.
By the 2nd of March, technically he's no longer a police officer.
And by the 15th of March, in terms of the years of service, he's also not seen.
Yeah, so which means even if you don't want to use age, you want to use years and service, both of them for him happen in March.
On the same month.
So, on the same month.
He seems to have joined the service the same month that he was born. So it means that either way, he's still going to be, he needs to bow out of service. But it's the prerogative of the president to make appointments. Does the president have that leeway in the eye of the law to extend the tenure of Usman Alkali Baba by a day?
No, he doesn't. If you look at the way the system works, for example, look at the teachers. There's clamor in the country that teachers, we don't have enough teachers, so that teachers shouldn't retire at 60. They should give an extra 5 years. A law had to be passed through the National Assembly that was signed by the president last year, allowing teachers to work till they are 65 or 40 years in service. Now teachers can do that. Now, if a law had to be brought in to allow such extension, it shows that the president doesn't have the power to just extend beyond those limits. You see, the irony of this whole thing is that I call it IG is actually doing a fantastic job. You know, I mean, a lot of innovations, a lot of development has happened to the police. And I'm just concerned that, you know, you don't want to tarnish that legacy by now being immersed in all kinds of illegalities. Because the challenge here is that if he stays one day beyond that day, there will be, as sure as there's day tomorrow, there will be judicial review. And you don't want to be the first IG sacked by the court.
So let's look at it this way. Something must have gone wrong on Wednesday, because 24 hours after, when it was reported for the extension of the IGP tenure, the Minister of Police Affairs said, no, I did not say that the president has extended. What do you think could have gone wrong? Because in that statement he said the reason, he actually gave a breakdown of when Alkali Usman Baba was appointed and all of that. What do you think could have gone wrong?
Well, I mean, in my own personal opinion, I feel the minister was just flying a kite.
Which could be?
Just to test the waters, so to speak.
Maybe
I clearly have it on good authority that he clearly did not have such discussion with Mr. President. So he was on a frolic of his own. And that's why he quickly rolled back, I think, when he realized what has happened. You know, the challenge in this country is that, you know, we have a party, you have majority in National Assembly. If any law you feel is uncomfortable, you can amend the law. But until that law is amended, it has to be obeyed. But we have a situation in our police generally where people are just trying to sort of breach the law without any consequence. And that's happening with the IG, it's happening with the Police Service Commission, it's happening everywhere.
It seems to be a similar thing with the issue of the PS, the chair of the Police Service Commission.
Yes, I mean, okay, in that, what happened with the Police Service Commission is, interestingly, Section 2 of the Police Service Commission Establishment Act explains that the appointment, there has to be 7 commissioners, and that they have to that the federal character principle must be observed, which means 1 from each geopolitical zone, and then 1 zone we have an extra bite of the cherry. So when Elijah Smith was the chairman, Northwest had 2 commissioners. Then there was 1 from each of the remaining zones. So Elijah Smith was representing Southwest. So he resigned. So then Section 4 of that act now says that if any member resigns, 2 things must happen. The replacement for him or her who resigned must represent the same interest, or in this case zone, as the person that resigned. And then number 2, the replacement can only serve the remainder of the tenure of the person that resigned. So Elijah Smith's tenure expires around July or so this year. So the moment he resigned, a Southwesterner should just be proposed to replace him for the duration of the remainder of his tenure. But what's happening is that people are now recommending to the president to, kind of appoint somebody who's from another zone.
But
and then that's why the post hasn't been filled now, because there is,
how many months since Muslim Smith left?
September. Yeah. It's almost 5 months now. This is the 5th month.
I mean, let's wrap up, because I love you to talk about the reforms in the police sector. I mean, that means, from what you've said tonight, it looks clearly that the president might have a job to appoint a new IG between now and the end of February.
That's correct.
That means that if this IG oversee the February 25th election, it might not be able to oversee the governorship and State House of Assembly elections.
Yes.
But is it straightforward to know possibly who the next IG would be? And considering the region where Usman Alkali Baba comes from, is there any calculations in that regard based on what the law says?
Like I said, it depends on how you view the provisions of the law. For example, if you view the provisions of the law as that 4 years being the minimum, it means you must have 4 years left in service before you can be appointed an IG. When Alkali Baba was appointed, when you do the analysis, all the AIGs, all the DIGs put together, only one person qualified. Only one person had more than 4 years or 4 years or more left in service. Everybody else had less than 4 years, including Alkali himself. So clearly, the government now maybe decide to go the other way and take a sort of maximum sort of interpretation of those 4 years, which means we can appoint anybody up onto 4 years. So if you look at that, if they are taking the same approach, there are lots of AIGs and DIGs that qualify.
That will qualify.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of agitation about the activities of police, the behaviors of police, the conduct of police. There's been a lot of cry for the reforms of the Nigerian police system. And we saw what happened, sadly, the death of a lawyer in Lagos, and the kind of manner in which some unscrupulous police officers behave. Nigerians are tired of this kind of situation. How much of a reform do we need and can we see? Just to wrap up the conversation.
Well, I mean, the president has signed on the presidential roadmap for police reform, and a lot is happening. But the challenge is that before an average Nigerian will experience it on the street, it will take a while, because you have to change the structure. If you are changing something structurally, a lot will be happening that people won't see and people won't feel yet.
Are those happening?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, for example, in terms of emphasis on training, a lot of train the trainers has been happening for a few months now. You see, because police have to constantly work, you can't pull the men out of service to train them, so to speak. So you have to be innovative in how you train them while they're still working. So the decision, therefore, was to create this train-the-trainer approach where almost each area will have somebody who has been trained on how to then train the men. So rather than bringing the men all out of service to a place, take the training to them. So a lot is happening behind the scene, but it will take a while for Nigerians to actually experience it in terms of their day-to-day interactions with the police.
My prayer is that we do not want any Nigerian to die from the misbehavior of any police officer. I mean, I'm really sick of hearing a misfiring police officer or a trigger-happy police officer. That is so sad.
You know, I mean, it's a real problem, but the solution is still training. And that's what we do less in the Nigerian police. Right. And the Nigerian police officers see training as a punishment.
Dr. Charles Omole, thank you so much indeed. We will be needing your help during the election. I hope you'll be around for that.
I will be.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's good to see you again after a very long time. Dr. Charles Omole, a lawyer and expert in so many areas, which includes what is discussed tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight.